flame of hope flickers as the wind howls down from the mountain. To make this journey, you'll need companions. Let's meet them at the crossroads. Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Loki Oren, and this video is part of a series of videos where I am looking at all of the hero paths for each character in Darkest Dungeon 2. Today, we're looking at the Plague Doctor. Let me prescribe a more holistic regimen. Physician is a bit of an oddball hero path, and sometimes can struggle to really find a place to fit in. Physician trades away a lot of the damage output of the Plague Doctor. Your blight skills and bleed skills deal less blight and bleed respectively. In the case of Incision, Incision still hits fairly hard but is now dealing very little in the way of bleed. Plague Grenade and Noxious Blast are similarly affected, though it's worth noting that because they are slightly more oriented to the damage over time effect, they still deal blight in a relatively substantial way. Noxious Blast, as a call out, is still dealing 4 blight once mastered. However, that is still a pretty significant decrease in the amount of blight and bleed that the Plague Doctor is dealing. It's worth noting that Magnesium Rain is completely unaffected. What you get in exchange are material improvements to 3 of the Plague Doctor's buffing and debuffing skills. The largest bonus goes to Disorienting Blast, which gains 20% stun resistance piercing, as well as applying a vulnerable to the target. Disorienting Blast has gotten a recent kind of semi-stealthy improvement where stacking dazes onto a target does mean that they get stunned. 2 dazes equals a stun. And once mastered, Disorienting Blast does hit the target with a stun if there is a combo point on it. Ounce of Prevention, in a kind of a sad parody of what was, gains 15% stress resistance as another bonus, which is a far cry from its glory days where it was a spammable 1 stress heal on the entire party. And finally, Emboldening Vapors gives an additional strength token. One thing that's worth noting is that in and amongst all this, there are no changes to Battlefield Medicine or Indiscriminate Science, which helps to characterize where the Physician fits in, even if for at least my playstyle, it doesn't necessarily mesh with how I would like to play. The Plague Doctor as a Physician is a support buffer and debuffer. You're counting on her heals to keep the party alive, and her newly empowered skills to buff your own party, debuff your enemies, and in some awesome moments land a critical stun and just turn off an enemy. This hero path can generally slot into a party that already has the damage output and doesn't necessarily need the Plague Doctor's damage output, and will benefit from those increased buffs and debuffs.